This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
You are what you watch.
Hello, my name's Harriton Watco. Welcome to our program. You need only to read the major dailies, listen to radio, and even listen to the news on TV to realize crime is on the rise. That is in spite of the president saying and his cabinet that everything is under control. In this program, I would like to specifically pinpoint a situation where crime has not just been on the rise, it has been there and it's metastasizing. The worst part of it all is while we ask investors to come into the country, we open our airports for foreigners to come in. We are actually closing these gates. How? By stepping on them, stepping on their rights, allowing the oligarchs to take over and to do what they normally do. Guns, goons, and gold is not necessarily just limited to the elections. In this specific case, it has again been metastasizing. It is the practice. Rule of law is not being followed, and the oligarchs are using their muscles, their guns, their goons, their gold to get what they want. I'd like to take advantage and read this open letter that's been addressed to the president. Of course, there are no replies, and everything's but silent. But I'd like to read it anyway for you to judge what's going on. I've written this. This is from the appellant, Steve Witter, who incidentally is an American married to a Filipino. I've written your office before to apologetically request a speedy resolution of our Office of the President case number 15-G191. Involving the infamous Romeo Halosos in regarding to a blatant biased decision by the DENR. I won't repeat myself, but in my previous letter, I wrote extensively about harassment of all sorts, coconut theft, extortion, vandalism of all sorts, and I might even have mentioned a regional DENR that is doing everything it can to hamper our access to public records, and still there was no attorney assigned to our case. I'll ask you again, please consider this. Now, here is part of breaking news that just happened last year. This is last week. An abduction, another kidnapping in the very same area. An ex-Catholic missionary priest with a restaurant, his name is Rolando del Tarcio, who was recently kidnapped in Dipolog City, was planning an opening of a second branch to his Your Choice restaurant at our beach resort down the road from Romeo Halosos' Dacac Beach Resort. 4 days before he was kidnapped from his restaurant by 10 armed men, he told me that Halosos was trying to buy his employees. That restaurant is typically packed with foreigners and the wealthy Filipinos belonging to the opposition. As of this time, we know he was targeted, not running for office, without any relatives, a modest middle-class businessman. We know the 10 or more kidnappers were well-armed and financed. They were not Abu Sayyaf, and that no ransom deal has been proposed. That's as of this letter. We know Abu Sayyaf recently hit Aligway Island, where Romy Haloshos has unveiled his plans to open a 1.7 billion international resort last April. The deal probably fell through, and Romeo Haloshos, barangay official, was beheaded because he refused to pay them 1 million pesos. If these guys are really not Abu Sayyaf, this looks like a well-funded copycat crime. I told the local NBI that Romy Haloshos, and obviously the obvious suspect with a motive until proven otherwise. They agreed with me and told me to be careful, but they didn't write anything down. I guess in this specific case, even the police, the NBI, and the laws that are in this area are all scared of this oligarch. Sure, yes sir, I'm sure I am paranoid. Romy Haloshos sent 8 of his private army armed with M16s to camp at our beach resort night and day back in 2006, before me and my family had to leave the country. We will be going back to Dipolog City very soon. We request that you put a lawyer on our case. Ladies and gentlemen, if that is not a confession and a straight presentation of facts, I don't know what is. How is it that we have people like this that actually exist and are allowed to actually do what they do? Mali po ata ito, no? Now, ang masama pa dito, ang pagkaalam ko, baka tumatakbo pa sa Kongreso. Ano ba nangyayari po sa atin yung guns, goons, and gold? Ito ba po ang bayan po natin? Ganito na ba po ngayon? Alam nyo, kayo, dito kayo sa Maynila, nakatira kayo sa Cebu, sa Northern Luzon, hindi kayo sabihin nyo, baliwala, hindi naman ako kasali dyan, problema ng Amerikano yun. Alam niyo po, ang problema ng isa, magiging problema nyo. Ano ko kaya? Ano kung kaya? Kayo ang kapitbahay nitong Haloshos at kayo ay tinatakot. This is the problem our country faces today. With us, we have the appellant, we have the victim, we have that single investor who's back in the country. He's been in this show before, and I brought this up. Of course, nothing has happened. Because here in this country, the rich get away with murder. And the murder they promote is almost, what do they call it? Mafia. In the Philippines, hindi kailangan mafia. It's called RP, Republic of the Philippines, with receipts. We also have his counsel. We have Attorney Severo Brillantes. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being on the show. I hope I wasn't too passionate or dramatic about that first part, the presentation. It's best I come out straight to the problem. Where are you now in this frustrating saga that you've been having to live in the last 10 years?
Well, I'm hoping I'm just paranoid, because obviously it's getting kind of weird and spooky down there. And the case is up here. I'd like to wrap it up before the elections. And
They just kidnapped your friend.
yeah, I mean, well, and it makes you a little weird thinking about that. You're wondering if it's you next, you know?
It looks like it is. Attorney Brillantes, isn't he in danger? He can get assassinated. I mean, he can, if his friend was picked up. The man was just, imagine, a former Catholic priest. He's just doing his business cooking pizza, and it happens to be a popular restaurant, probably because the food's good, which is why you invited him to be your partner.
Well, it was his idea in the first place, but it was still the favorite place for foreigners to eat because the food was good. And
Yeah.
it was their style of cooking.
And he just gets kidnapped just like that, and nobody knows what's going on in this area. Attorney.
Yes, I believe, I personally believe that the lives of Mrs. Witter and Mr. Witter are in danger. In fact, this has something to do with the free patent and certificates of title which were issued to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they put up a beach resort, which is in clear threat to the Dakak Beach Resort of Haloshos.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, the free patent and titles were issued in 2004. Suddenly, in 2006, Haloshos claims to be the owner of the property, files a petition to cancel the pre-patents.
A clear case of land grabbing.
Yes, while the case is still ongoing, in 2006, 8 armed men with assault rifles entered the property, destroyed their fence, burned it, and encamped in the property and fenced the property. This is
photo.
clearly a
Yes.
case of people taking the law into their own hands.
What happened to our police? Don't we have judges, criminal courts down there? Or is it savage country in this area?
The Witters have repeatedly called the attention of the police to this illegal entry of to their property, and no action has been taken by the police.
Well, how do the police respond to you? Because you're an American. You will always stand up for your rights. That's what you guys are made of. That's what made America what it is. Now, what did the police do when you confronted them?
It's a little better than it was in 2006. They wouldn't even take a police report, and neither would the FBI. That was when Haloshos was in prison when he was claiming to be living on our beach resort.
Wait. His claim to your property was because he was living there, when actually he was incarcerated in Muntinlupa.
Yes.
And then the police don't want. So obviously the police in that whole area are in the pocket of this politician, this felon, convicted felon.
Yeah, but
Can we say that openly?
the police are better now. There's an improvement. I mean, they do take
Wow,
an interest.
so the government today has done better.
They don't want to be embarrassed by having me shot on their watch so much as before. They didn't really even care. 2006 was really bad, and now you can do a police report. And
So did
they
you
will
get-
send
okay.
people out to there are some improvements from then to now, a pretty big one, but on the other hand, I mean, I think they just don't want anything to happen drastic while they're in charge.
Now you have the services of a professional, a lawyer, no less right here in Metro Manila, and a fighting lawyer as much, Attorney Brillantes, who follows rule of law, the procedure of law, jurisprudence as we know it.
Yes.
And where has that gotten you? It's 2015, you're back, you're trying to get your property, or at least live on it. Now you're going to try and open a small restaurant in it, and all of a sudden, your partner-to-be is kidnapped. What is this trying to tell you? Is this trying to tell you you're next, mate?
Well,
Checkmate.
Well, I guess we're not going to have any food there soon, but there's speculation. We don't really know what's going on. It's very, very disturbing, though. I mean, it doesn't look good. Like the guy who is this Commander Red Eye, who they've tracked down.
Yes, this red guy.
He keeps getting out of jail. He somehow came up with bail money not too long ago.
But how can a terrorist
involved
be
in all
bailed?
these kidnappings, and
How is that possible, attorney?
I didn't think they were eligible for bail, but
I don't even know how is that possible.
It's not supposed to
but
be.
it's
So it's illegal.
it's
This Commander Red Eye-
we hear of stories of people who are in jail who can go in and out.
So this is
Of
no
jail.
man's land. This whole area where you are, there is no rule of law. Is this what you're saying?
like I say, a little better than it was when Royo was in there. Now, and actually, when the first Abu Sayyaf raid came up there, they had a good turnout. The Uis had plenty of backup, but they couldn't protect the coastline. I think the Coast Guard was unarmed, is what it amounted to. So they were able to just take the prisoners to Holo. This time, I think they were stopped by the blockade, perhaps, of the Navy, as if I'm reading all the papers.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
You're right. The series of events have taken place.
No, that's
within
not
the
a
last
huge
4 years.
improvement when you've got this happening right downtown,
The kidnapping. You mean.
Yeah. I mean, it goes to show that that sort of thing didn't used to happen there at all. You know, it happened last spring, now it's happened again.
Can we blame this on this politician, Holosos, who's been harassing him,
well-
who obviously has an interest in the place, who obviously has some type of influence above the law? Can we pinpoint that this guy is the guy behind it? I'm asking you.
You asked the question whether there is a rule of law. Halosos filed a petition to before the Regional Executive Director of Pagadian City to cancel the free patent issued to Mrs. Witter without waiting for the Regional Executive Director to render a decision.
That's the process.
Over the case. Ordinarily, you have to wait for you to win a case before you can enter into a titled property already, which you claim is yours. But without waiting for any decision to be rendered by the Regional Executive Director, Halosos, in 2006, 8 men armed with assault rifles enter the property, burn the fence.
This was in 2006.
In 2006, yes.
Yes.
Burn the property of the Witters, destroy it, and armed men encamp inside the property and fence it.
No, but
Definitely, that is not the rule of law.
But that's
Where
no
people, why go to court when you will have to, when you would just the same take the law into your own hands?
But that's no longer the case today. The armed men of Halosos are not inside your property.
His army was disbarred. Task Force Lupad was disbanded as a private army. It was set up by his brother, the mayor at the time, supposed to be doing drug enforcement. So they actually bought the M16s for him and everything else, and they wouldn't do police reports on him.
What's the issue today? What's the frustration today? You can't get, well, of course, you're obviously fearing for your life now that your good friend was just abducted, kidnapped, just in the bright of day. It was seen on television.
Yeah.
And you fear you will be next.
Well, I don't know what will happen next. You know, that's pretty bold. That's out of the box. You know, your guess is as good as mine. Makes you think.
What do you think,
It's
Attorney?
kind of scary.
Well, speaking of the rule of law, they had a lawyer before, their counsel. When the case was filed, pending before the Regional Executive Director, the petition of Halosos to cancel the free patent of Witters, they had a lawyer. But suddenly, they were shocked to find out that their lawyer was already lawyering for Halosos in violation of the trust and confidence that they have entrusted to that lawyer, in violation of the Code of Ethics of Lawyers
He should have been
against
disbarred.
conflict of interest.
He should have been disbarred,
In
is
fact,
what you're saying.
yes, in fact, that is one option they are considering, to file a disbarment case against that lawyer. When the Regional Executive Director rendered a decision against them, they hired another lawyer.
Yes.
The lawyer simply filed, that other lawyer simply filed a notice of appeal and did nothing else. And according to the Witters, that lawyer was bought out by Halosos. After receiving their money, he went straight to the CAC.
Well, the first one is the one that did all the land deals and the free patent. And he switched sides, and suddenly he was the one writing the petition to revoke our property and everything. The second one actually wrote a pretty good appeal or whatever, but they ignored it. He argued that you can't be claiming public land like that in a free patent when you're living in prison. But being in town there, I think he was maybe under a little intimidation. So we tried switching to a lawyer in Manila, and it was very hard to get him to do anything on the case. He never really technically did any work. I finally had to come back here, and got our new guy.
Attorney, this is trying to tell me that the only other alternative is for Mr. Witter to actually go and buy guns and shoot it out with the army of Holosos, because it seems the rule of law in this area, it's worse than the wild, wild west. I mean, hell, this is worse than the Middle East. It's happening right here in the Philippines.
Yes, but we still have the legal processes. When I was hired by the Witters, I pursued their appeal, filing an appeal before the office of the Secretary of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources.
In this
But
case,
unfortunately, the office of the Secretary of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources has affirmed the patently illegal decision of the Regional Executive Director granting the petition of Halosos
what is the
to
name of
cancel
this
their...
corrupt DENR guy? What's his name? Later, let's bring out his name. Let's show it. So the president and the cabinet and the powers that are in this country can actually get this guy, and hopefully the Department of Justice will put this guy in prison.
So
Well,
actually,
there's
when
actually a list of people involved.
Give me your list when we take a break.
Okay.
We'll take, ladies and gentlemen, this is beginning to frustrate me.
So that is why we have elevated already the case before on appeal before the office of the president, and this is precisely the letter of Mr. Witter that you read earlier. It is an appeal to the office of the president to already render a decision on that appeal.
Well, we're going to have to take a break. It is sad that the people who line up in the MRT after 6 years of no development, no improvement, are still suffering the same fate this government has attributed to the Filipinos. It's not only the electric railways, it's our traffic, it's the airports, it's the bridges, it's the infrastructure that has gone to sleep for the last 5.5, 6 years. Now, I'm not even sure that the president might even take the time to even read this, because it doesn't come in a form of a video game. But the interesting thing about this is they are asking us, the Liberal Party and the president himself, who's busy campaigning, and to think his term is over and he can't run again. The problem is they're asking us to vote the Liberal Party once again. Now, what exactly does yellow stand for? In this specific case that has been ongoing, while it's only maybe one case, this may be going on all over the country. The sad part is, are we going to allow this to continue? Are we going to allow this for the very same people to come back into power only to do this again to the people around us? Maybe this is a local issue. This convicted felon of a dynasty, of an oligarchy that can step on people just like that. This should not be the case. And even though we live here in Manila in the comfort of our private villages, should not be able to allow this to happen. Or let's just close the doors of the airport and tell them, no foreigners, please, only for Filipinos and only for the oligarchs to own. You be the judge. We'll be right back.